Let's move on. In the meantime, actually, let me go ahead and check in on the comments. We have anything? No, we don't have anything just yet. All right. Welcome those of you who are just joining us right now. Thanks so much for tuning in, either on YouTube or we're still streaming live on Instagram at Weekend Showcase. Just me, Don, hanging out with Kaiko, my good friend here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's move on to the next item on the docket, which is the first, well, I guess we'll say the main teaser. It's labeled that way for the new Amazon Prime show, Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power. Apparently, we're getting a straight up TV series adaptation of that legendary film franchise from, oh my goodness, why is it Peter Jackson? Oh my God, I don't know why I was spacing on his name. I almost said Francis Ford Coppola. It couldn't possibly be more wrong. Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson. Get it through your head. All right. So, Kaiko, what are your thoughts on this franchise? Are you a ringer?
So I'm not a ringer. I've never seen a Lord of the Rings movie. Listen, I know by now you are sick of me. I have not seen none of these movies, and I tell you what. You over there, you saying, well, I'm sick of Kaiko. This guy ain't seen nothing. But I ain't never seen Lord of the Rings. Me and my dad talk about this sometimes. We always talk about Lord of the Rings. We say, why have we never watched that in Star Wars? Like, why have we never watched?
You haven't watched Star Wars either?
I've seen the fourth episode that like came out in theaters first. That I was, yeah. I don't, and it's not that I don't care. Not that I don't care. I mean, I care. I just never got around to it.
Okay. We need to talk about some things after we wrap this show because the meter's running around the clock. But all right, let's just go through this and try to approach this from like a layperson perspective and let us know your thoughts if this works as a suitable entry point for this franchise, and we'll see if the trailer did its job.
Exactly.
Okay. So here's Lord of the Rings. Sorry.
No, I said let's get it.
Okay. Here's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
There was a time when the world was so young. There had not yet been a sunrise. But even then, there was light.
Fancy stylized logo.
Elves have forests to protect. Dwarfs their mines. Men their fields of grain. But we Harfoots have each other.
For I must now wander this wandering day.
We're safe.
You have fought long enough, Galadriel. Put up your sword.
The enemy is still out there. The question now is where?
It is over.
You have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen.
Sheesh.
What I have seen.
You gotta hand it to like the production designers.
Right. Over the face of the earth. It will be the end, not just of our people, but all peoples.
I am sorry, but the time has come.
The past is with us all. The past is dead.
Horse armor. I'll get back to that in a moment.
Or we die with it.
This could be the beginning of a new era.
Yeah, if it wouldn't be Lord of the Rings or like the Hobbit franchise without some people like on a quest hiking along. All right, so that was Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power on Amazon Prime. What, Kaiko, what are your thoughts on this?
I like it. I mean, I don't dislike it. It's I don't think this is something that would make you start wanting to become a fan of Lord of the Rings. I don't think this is the one that sells Lord of the Rings to people.
So,
like,
go ahead.
Yeah, no. What's your question?
Well, I was just going to ask, like, you're coming in cold basically from this franchise.
Yeah.
You
Right.
so you haven't read any of the books either, obviously. I mean,
No.
even as
Yeah.
an entry point, if you
Yeah.
have Amazon Prime, you're looking for stuff. I mean, we're getting a weird sort of resurgence of these specific, like, legendary fantasy IPs between
Right.
Lord of the Rings now and
Right.
Game of Thrones is making a resurgence as well. House of Dragons, I think, is the name of that show that's about to launch on HBO Max next month. I mean, we're
Right.
getting a real resurgence of these fantasy IPs, and this trailer you're saying isn't really doing it for you.
No, I'm not saying it's not doing it for me, and I think I'm trying to speak in a general term and say that I don't think this is the one that would sell the whole series to somebody. I don't think somebody would look at this and then pick up Lord of the Rings. This is not the one that made you pick up Lord of the Rings. And I mean, this is not making me want to go now read the books and look at the other movies. You know what I'm saying? This is like, listen, let me tell you something. When they revamp stuff, or not, this isn't a revamp, this is a whole new series. But when they bring something back into light, they seem to mess things up a lot. And I'll give you a good example is Powerpuff Girls. They Powerpuff Girls.
You're talking about the 2016 remake that was done on Cartoon Network. Okay,
they lasted for maybe a season. I mean, because they came back and it wasn't bad. I don't know why people didn't like it. It wasn't. I think it was just the writing. It wasn't the animation was astounding, but the writing was what was bad. And they were like, we're not going to continue this. How could you bring Powerpuff Girls back and do that to them? You know what I'm saying? So cut that. I'm not trying to dig into that. I'm saying go back to Lord of the Rings now. I just feel like people don't know how to bring stuff back into light properly. I've seen too many great examples of what I'm saying to stand my grounds on what I'm saying. You know what I'm like? I mean, this is, I don't know if this is gonna hit like the other Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying?
Well, to be fair, I sat through this whole trailer and I did not see one ring. So this strikes me as a very misleading title. I don't know, like this word choice suggests that there is actually more than one ring of power. And we didn't see one throughout this whole piece of footage. I don't know.
So you don't even know that it is Lord of the Rings. You don't know.
It says it right there. The Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power.
No. I'm saying say that wasn't there and you just watched the footage. You wouldn't know it was a Lord of the Rings. It had affiliation. You see what I'm saying? You would just think it's some new fantasy thing. And I love fantasy. So I always appreciate anything fantasy, no matter what it is. Just because that's the kind of person I am. But that's why I can be so critical on what this is. I'm saying all I saw was just some fantasy. Listen, you can throw dragons and vampires and warlocks at me all you want, right? But I mean, I'm gonna pick out the ones that really open my eyes. That one's just a bunch of dragons and vampires that I've seen. You know what I'm saying?
So if you were to put a thumb rating on it, we got to move on. But if you were to put another thumb rating on it,
I mean, I give it a 7 because
we need a thumb.
Oh no, yeah. So like a boom.
3/4. Oh, wait, the Zoom camera it interpreted the thumb with a little emoji. I don't know if those of you who are watching the YouTube stream can see this on the upper quadrant of his camera. There was a little thumbs up emoji thing. That's interesting. Your Zoom camera did that.
Okay.
But I hear what you're doing. I actually agree with that assertion, and I'm going to go ahead and agree with that sort of like 3/4 thumb.
Yeah.
Mainly from the standpoint of I see what they're trying to do here as far as this footage is designed to cater more towards people who are at the very least well-versed in the Tolkien novels. If you're just coming in cold like Kaiko is, or somebody who has like a reasonably sort of lukewarm awareness of the franchise like I do, it's probably not going to cut it. And you're probably going to find other things on this platform on Amazon Prime that might be a better usage of your time to watch. And that's saying something, considering we actually covered on this channel about this time last year how much money Amazon is putting into this show, like Game of Thrones level of money. And it's painfully evident in this footage just what all they've put into it from a design perspective, from a graphics perspective, from a costume and makeup perspective. It's crazy that it's not I don't know. We should be more hyped for this being able to come in cold than we are, especially given Kaiko, as you just heard, is into fantasy stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
So I don't know. That's just my assertion from that. But all right, let's move on.